Thank you again for having me here. This is totally an honor. I love talking just in front of my friends and talking. I feel like you're all my friends. So my name is Kyle Kushman, and I've been an organic cannabis cultivator now for around 35 years. And I honestly sometimes feel like I'm a little bit in opposition to these really large corporations. I mean, evidenced by the fact that I don't have a cannabis company. In California, there's literally no legal way to use the word organic when it comes to cannabis. There's no agency you can file for. You're not allowed to use the word organic when selling cannabis. And I don't bring this up because I enjoy or think it's a good thing that I feel like I'm in opposition. It's just that growing organically or veganically, which I'm also known for, which is vegan organic, which is eliminating all the animal byproducts from the actual cultivation product. And that also has nothing to do with my love of animals. What it actually has to do with is heavy metals. And specifically arsenic, cadmium, mercury, and lead. And these carcinogenic, extremely dangerous heavy metals do exist naturally in the atmosphere at extremely, extremely low concentrations. In fact, as an example, in America, you're allowed to, an organic peach, or certified organic piece of fruit in the supermarket is allowed to have up to 1 part per million of any of those heavy metals. Presumably because it's considered innocuous. If it's in that low a concentration, it's not going to kill anybody or make anybody sick. I tend to agree with that. But a peach isn't medicine. A piece of produce isn't medicine. And so where my discussion really starts is when you call cannabis medicine. And that's a very loose definition for me. It doesn't mean that you have some debilitating disease that you're going to die from in some time, and so they're giving you a medicine so that it extends your period of life. It could just simply mean that you're choosing not to use harder substances, other drugs. And so cannabis becomes your medicine other than, cocaine or heroin or some terrible drug, because your being needs a different state of consciousness to exist in this very hectic, hard world that we live in. And so cannabis has been my medicine since I first used it. Since before people called cannabis medicine, I used to tell people as a 14-year-old, 15-year-old, 16-year-old, jokingly, I used to, when I would get caught, or when I would get, given a hard time for it, I would tell people that cannabis was my medicine. I don't know where I got that from. I don't know whether I was just being a smartass or whether I was really smart, but it's the truth. And so this is the background on why I believe that organic cannabis is so important. So why is it so important, right, other than synthetically grown salt-based cannabis? Truth is that the level of importance isn't the same to everybody. So, for example, if you are a casual cannabis user and you only use cannabis once a day or once every couple of days or once a week, and you smoke your vape pen, you take a couple hits off your vape pen during the day or whatever, and it provides the high that you like, and that's good enough for you. But if you're somebody like me, who basically smokes morning, noon, and night, I smoked when I was outside earlier, it doesn't seem to hinder my thought process a little bit, although I may have one brain fart during this. It happens. That's what we call it, a brain fart. It's when you forget where you are. But if you're using cannabis, and I'm talking from personal experience, so before I grew cannabis, I bought cannabis, and we called it marijuana. Before I used pot, I bought pot, and sometimes I would get pot that wasn't so good. and it was sprayed with stuff that it shouldn't have on it, or it had excessive nutrients, or it had lots of heavy metals in it. And whatever it was, by the end of the day, you know, I'd have my dinner, and I'd think to myself, I'd really like to smoke another joint, but I already have a headache. And I have a headache because I was smoking crappy pot all day. And so I have a sensitivity. Now, everybody may not be that sensitive. But again, you know, I don't have a bunch of slides, and I don't have a bunch of stats and statistics and scientific figures. This may sound a little bit more like a sermon, and I don't mind. That's what it is. You know, if you call cannabis medicine, then it should be pure. Okay, meaning it should not have adulterants in it. When you go to the apothecary and you ask for any type of medicine, it doesn't have 98% of what you asked for and 2% heavy metals. It has 100% of what you asked for in it. And so, you know, that's really the long and the short of it is. I don't have any hard prejudice against people growing synthetic weed, or salt-based, whatever you want to call it, inorganic. And, you know, the truth is that the quality of salt-based nutrients that you can get today are a world apart from the Miracle Grow that you could buy 25 years ago, the purple powder, the green powder. The heavy metal concentrations are much lower. But I will tell you that the industry allows parts per million. All the cannabis in California, you know, we grow a lot of pot, and we sell a lot of pot, legal and illegal. And the stuff that's tested, I haven't committed to memory the exact level is of what's tolerated, but it's somewhere around 0.1 part per million, okay? Not a whole part per million like that's allowed in the peach, but you have to understand that, you know, you're putting that into your system, and your system has ways of detoxifying things. You have acids in your stomach, you break things down and such. But when you combust something and you inhale it into your mucous membranes, nothing is getting broken down. In fact, when you set something on fire, you're creating new chemicals that didn't exist before. So I don't want heavy metals in my pot. It's as simple as that. And I can also tell you from practical experience that, you know, I worked with Buds and Roses, a very famous dispensary in LA for a long time. And when I was doing that, I brought my veganic pot, you know, to the market. And I can't tell you how many times I had people come to me and say, Kyle, thank you. For the first time ever, my psoriatic arthritis doesn't bother me because the pot is clean. Or my Crohn's disease is into remission. Or I gave my son, I have an adult autistic son, he used to take Halcyon. I married in, he's not my by birth. And when I married and I introduced him to marijuana, because it was so clean, my wife allowed that. And so this is the closing thing that thought that I'm going to leave you with, is that it's about sensitivity, you know. You may have Crohn's disease, you may have autism, you may have fibromyalgia, you may have some kind of actual malady that you use cannabis for. And so you go to the dispensary and you buy cannabis, and guess what? It helps alleviate that malady. But if you're already a sensitive person of some sort, you know, sensitive to the environment, sensitive to pollution, sensitive to these things, you might actually be exacerbating another condition while you're ingesting this cannabis. So you're not, you know, you may have Crohn's disease, but then a few years later you're going to end up with migraines because you've ingested so many heavy metals. So I suggest that if you call marijuana or cannabis medicine, that you make sure that it's organic. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, Kyle, to be here.